On this episode,
everybody's getting their vinyl and everybody's getting their record players, and the kids are even doing it. I mean, it really came from the kids anyway wanting to get the vinyl and, like you said, sharing the records from their parents and listening to them. These young kids today are just not into the music of today.
from the coveted corner booth in a little bar at the center of the Coachella Valley universe, welcome to another Big Conversation with Patrick Evans and Randy Florence, presented by the McCallum Theater. Visit McCallumTheater.org or reach the box office at 760-340-2787. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Howard. Yes, we are here at the famed corner booth at Skip Page's Little Bar, and we are once again ready for another edition of Big Conversations Little Bar. My name is Patrick Evans, and I'm sitting here with my buddy Randy Florence, the most stalwart co-host and sidekick in the history of sidekicks.
I wait every week to hear how amazing I am. Thank you for that. Hey, happy birthday, Patrick Evans.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, Sunday was my birthday. I'm officially 29 twice. That is
and you made it through both of those lives.
I did, yeah. They've been very different.
So congratulations. Did you do anything special?
No. Nope. Did
the family know it was your birthday?
Sort of. Sort of. No, so this has nothing to do with our guest today, but I mean, I'll just tell you this quick story. My brother-in-law is in from Lithuania, and today we have a spectacular guest. And so, Ronnie, I was telling you, my wife is from, but my brother-in-law lives there. He teaches at the university there, and he came in, and so it's always kind of, he's the prodigal son when he comes back home, and so we took him a few places. We went up in the high desert. There's this great little French restaurant called La Copine. We hit that because we really wanted to, he likes the high desert. So we did a little of that, a little Joshua Tree. Then we had dinner with friends, and then I just drank heavily once they left.
You had the whole desert experience in about 24 hours.
Oh, man, no. It was about a 4-hour round trip. It was just up, lunch, back.
I'm tired now.
All that. But thank you very much. It's always fun. It's
always fun to make it through another birthday.
Well, it is. On this side of the dirt, it's good. And, my birthday I was born on Thanksgiving. It always falls around Thanksgiving, so we hit the holidays. It's nice, it's festive, it's fun to celebrate a birthday and then go right into Thanksgiving, Christmas. We are here with Ronnie King as our guest today, and we had, Ronnie, your brother, John Stanley King, came and did this. And what I really like about this, you came on Eye on the Desert, and you were like, man, I really like that podcast. I listened to JSK, and I thought, man, I should do that. And
nothing scared you away, huh?
We would be thrilled, and we are thrilled to have you here to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. John looked really good. John's such a great interviewee.
Well, you guys, you have great history here in the Valley. Your family has such tremendous musical history and just Valley history.
Yeah.
And I know that he really has gotten into, just loving to tell those stories.
Dude, I'm getting chills right now because that guy loves the desert, and he loves his desert lineage. I tried to pull him into L.A., me and my brother Bobby, at one time. You probably told the story where we all go to L.A. together. We're like, we're going to L.A. We're going to just beat it down.
We're going to make it big.
We're the best in the desert. We can't go anywhere else, right? And I think he lasted like 2 years.
He loves the desert.
Yeah.
But you guys come from obviously a remarkably similar background with your great musical family, great musical parents. And you tried to take him on over to L.A.
Yeah.
But you guys went two different directions with your music careers. And no right or wrong, you're both incredible. But man, you went to L.A. and you sort of became L.A. I mean, you became part of that music scene.
Yeah, I mean, I got there, I think, 1990, and that's when NWA was popular. And I played the keyboards, and I learned from all these guys in the desert. Joe Jaggi, Peter Agiro. My first tour was with Frankie Ford, and I used to play 5 nights a week at the Canyon Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
playing. Oh man, that was wild.
What were you playing?
I used to play the piano.
No, I know that, but I mean, what was the genre?
The music. The music was. Who's that guy? Louis Prima.
Louis. Oh.
And that's when they had the boxing stadium there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They had the boxing stadium there, so we'd be there, and everybody would come in. Burt Law, the actor. I mean, all these Italian actors, because Frankie Ford was a big Vegas guy, you know, for years. And anywho, he took me on my first tour from the desert, you know, to the Borscht Belt. Did the Pocono Mountains and did, what was that other place? The Pocono Mountains and where they have the heart-shaped bathtubs.
Oh.
No, was that Poconos?
That was
that's the Poconos. Yeah, because that's where everybody went for their honeymoon from. If you know, on the
east of the Mississippi.
East of we're going to go to the Poconos.
Dude,
because there's nothing else to do, so you might as well stay in the room and have a honeymoon.
Dude, that's what and we'd go to all these speakeasies.
And then go listen to Shecky Green for a couple of hours.
We just lost Shecky Green not too long ago.
Did we?
Yeah. Shecky was in the, you know, he moved back to Vegas, but he and his wife lived here for a while, and I would see him every Christmas Eve. He would be over at Jerry Vale's house, and you know, it was me, Jack Jones, and Shecky Green, and Jerry Vale. I know we just lost Jack. That was a tough one for.
I love Jack Jones because he was a friend of one of my buddies I went to school with. Right, we used to sit at the bar. We'd get a little saucy, and he would just go, "You know, Ron, I just don't understand this new music you guys are doing." And he was like, and we'd look at him like, well, at least we know your, you know.
Well, we do understand
we know
yours.
your music, but you don't understand ours. He pulled the plug on us one night. We were having a jam session, and we were getting loud. We were playing the Police at Ernie Dunleavy's house.
Okay.
And he just got so irritated, he pulled the plug.
The musical equivalent of "Get Off My Lawn."
Yeah, get off my lawn. It wasn't even his house.
It's not even his house. Oh, I love that story.
Hey, it was his buddy's, but him and his buddy, you know.
So you go on tour, but then, and you're playing that kind of music.
Yeah.
But you got into the music scene in L.A., you said, in the early 90s.
Yeah, early 90s with NWA, actually.
And so you were playing keyboards for them?
I studied music here in the beautiful desert, and my piano teacher when I was in college was Joanna Hodges. Okay, she has the big Virginia wearing piano competition. Mm-hmm. So I go 2 years in college, and after 2 years, I go in there, and she looks at me. She goes, "Ron, you're not going to make it. You are just not going to be. You're not going to be in the L.A. Philharmonic. I know you're trying, and my recitals were terrible, and you know I loved Robert Schumann, and so I studied under really great people.
I mean, you have this great background in you know, this incredible the Sinatra, Louis Prima,
jamming, yeah,
and then you have this background in classical music, and
that was the problem. Is I would definitely blend the two. And they didn't like that
they
too
didn't
much.
know. They're sticklers at that competition. It's got to be pretty classical.
All of a sudden I'm playing Robert Schumann and I go dun 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 dun. No.
I got you under my skin.
Exactly.
That's not right. So how?
She says you're out.
Tell me how you got on. I mean, because NWA, they were already kind of climbing.
They had a very short career. They were only like a band really for like a year or two.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize how short that career was.
It was very short. Yeah, but it was.
But a meteor.
Yeah, with no airplay. Me and my brother Bobby had a rap group called Plain White Rappers, and we went on the Gong Show.
Fantastic name.
Wait, you went on the Gong Show?
Yeah. And we didn't get
Chuck
gong.
Barris.
Chuck Barris, J.P. Morgan, whatever. We didn't get gong, but we didn't win. So this guy from...
I think that's the definition of success in life.
Not getting gonged?
Yeah, you know, maybe you don't win, but you don't get gonged. So
that's what we said. And I was behind the curtain, and I was like having an anxiety attack. I'm like, oh, wow, this is like real TV. They're not playing. And anyways, Gene the Dancing Machine does his thing. Anyways, there was a guy from Inglewood, a black producer, Richie Rich. And we just so happened a couple weeks later after that show, we're playing at a place called World on Wheels, which is the most, excuse the vernacular, ghetto roller skate rink in Inglewood. Opening up for a band called the Uzi Brothers. Hence
UZI.
UZI.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And so it was, it was a little tough neighborhood out there, but we were kind of already in there playing Venice Beach on the Strand, and so we were kind of getting toughened up. But we're from Southside, Indio. We used to have our fights and whatever. So we were tough kind of kids, I guess, in a way. Enough. And this guy, Richie Rich, comes in and he goes, you know what? You're a funky white boy, basically. And he goes, you're going to meet Jerry Heller and Maury Alexander tomorrow. You're going to go to this meeting. Well, Jerry Heller managed NWA, owned Ruthless Records. They did the movie about him. He was a dear friend of Pat Rizzo's.
Oh, man. Another desert great.
They used to hang. I think they even have a great story of rolling Jerry's Rolls Royce into Mel Haber's at the Ingleside Inn, going through the fence and landing in the pool.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they wake up in the morning from the hotel and everybody's at the pool just clapping. And those were the great Palm Springs stories.
Those were the great.
And Pat was like Frank's guy, right?
Well, Pat played for Sinatra, but Pat is out of the same neighborhood as Tony Bennett. And Pat Rizzo said, he said, we all sound exactly alike when we sing. And Pat Rizzo, I walked into his house one day, he's playing the piano. He goes, I can prove it. And he sings Boulevard of Broken Dreams. He sounds just like Tony Bennett. It was amazing. Yes. But he was a saxophonist and played flute.
Sly and the Family Stone.
But he was toured with Sly?
He toured with Sly and the Family Stone
for years. Mainstay.
Yeah, he was that guy, but Frank called him. He would play for Frank in Vegas. He would play for Frank when Frank did private parties here.
Yeah. Right. Because wasn't his uncle was Jilly Rizzo, I think.
Yeah, I think
was that correct?
I think there is a relation.
Some kind of relation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I went to L.A., I learned under those guys, right? So they were I tell you, man, Pat. I was 15 or 16 years old playing with Pat, and he was a L.A. cat too.
He'd been around, yeah.
I felt like kind of like when I got to L.A., I kind of had the mentality for what was going to happen. And you were either going to get picked up by somebody or you were going to be a broke musician trying to do something. I, luckily, got with Jerry Heller and Maury Alexander, who was with the NWA crew, which had Ruthless Records, yeah. And so John wasn't really involved in that, and Brother Bobby was close. But I had the talent of being able to have total recall because I studied total recall, basically. So you could listen to a song, and then you'd have to play it. You don't get to listen to it again. You have to recall.
You immediately.
Right.
Wow.
So within that, when I was at College of the Desert, too, I went through a Berkeley theory class and just sponged it up. I don't know. So I could listen to their rap music and just reproduce it. Yeah, reproduce it. And that's what they needed. Well, all the other guys I was dealing with, they weren't as fast as I was. So I was like in there because it was 2-inch tape still at that time.
Right.
No computer.
Yeah. So you were splicing tape.
I was, I was actually playing all the way through. That's what they liked about me. Because
it didn't need editing.
With the total recall.
It's so important at that time because now obviously everything's so digital that you can play around with it.
Yeah, we're chopping. Yeah.
All right, before we continue, I forgot, you got me sidetracked on my birthday. We want to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, the McCallum Theater. They make this podcast possible.
Okay.
And they're a great supporter of Big Conversations Little Bar. Cheers.
And they've been waiting 13 minutes to hear their name.
Well, there they go. We'll edit it. We'll fix this in post. We'll fix it in post.
Hey,
it'll be fine.
That's another thing. When that theater came to the desert, it changed the arena for live performing in the desert, right?
It changed the total landscape,
Because what did we have? I mean, we had that Desert Symphony or something in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Was pretty cool. But when that theater came in, and that was another thing with me, I was like, I want to do that one. I want to play at that place, you know? And I ended up playing there.
Played Jimmy Fitz's Christmas thing, didn't you?
Jimmy Fitz. Yeah, I played there before that opened up for Willie Nelson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not that Jimmy.
We're not slamming Jimmy Fitz. He's a buddy of mine, but also he's not Willie Nelson.
He's not Willie Nelson. I've seen the two of them. I'm pretty sure he's
I know
not
he
Willie
thinks
Nelson.
he's Johnny Cash, but you ended up playing for. So
Yeah.
you teamed up with NWA.
Yeah.
For that short. Kind of meteoric. They rose and they burned out.
They had the record label. Eazy-E had a record label called Ruthless Records, so he had a bunch of other artists like Kid Frost, Mellow Man Ace, which were the forerunners of Spanglish music, which is mixing Spanish lyrics with English lyrics. And we ran the game. I mean, we are like when I die, if I ever die. I'm never going to die.
Probably not going to happen.
We can't die.
No.
We're too exposed.
But you ended up playing with like Tupac.
Yes.
Snoop Dogg.
That was later.
All right. But tell me a little bit about that, because I look at Snoop Dogg and where he is now. Like, this is the year of Snoop Dogg. He's at the Olympics. He's the judge on the show with the thing.
The Boys.
And he's teamed up with Martha Stewart. No one saw that coming.
Martha Stewart.
He's sleeping with Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Well, she's a convicted felon, so it's okay.
Yeah. He might have been under different circumstances.
So, I mean, but how cool was that to spend time with these incredible
Snoop was a puppy. He was not a dog when I met him. He came under the tutelage of NWA. So when we were recording, so what they did is they went to the Spanish Cats. You know, the Spanish Cats had the next move, right? Because NWA never got any airplay. They couldn't get any radio airplay. So they did
because you couldn't say the name of the band.
Well, you could say the name of the band and the music was
songs.
not. Yeah. So they did all that they did, and that's the genius of Jerry Heller, with no airplay. Just trunk sales. You know, trunk sales. And that's what inevitably blew up the band, because Eazy owned the record company, and that's like 80% of the income compared to the 20% the artists get. So they're like, hey, but we blew it up. We expect more. Well, they're like, you didn't care about it then. Now you care about it because of da-da-da-da-da. And Jerry, being the awesome businessman that he was like, no, that's not happening. And so Suge Knight actually came to Jerry and wanted to partner with him in Ruthless Records, because he was Eazy's bodyguard. Suge Knight.
Uh-huh.
That's it. That's how he came into the whole thing anyway.
Just because he was a bodyguard.
He was a bodyguard.
He looked like a bodyguard.
No, he was a bodyguard. And that was it. So we were all in L.A., and we were all playing, and we were all in the studio all the time. There were certain studios we would be, Solar Records. There were certain studios we would all be at all the time. Then Suge Knight decides to make Death Row Records. Eazy dies. Jerry doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He says, Ron, you can do whatever you want. I'll manage you regardless. I said, well, I'm going to need you at Death Row Records. I mean, I want to stay with you, basically. And rightfully so, when you have to walk through 3 bulletproof doors just to get in the frickin' sound booth. Wouldn't that be funny at
the KSQ?
The station. And you gotta
Before you go into Eye on the Desert.
Dude, I mean, literally with 12 bodyguards and the whole thing. So then I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do it because there's something there. I thought there was something there. And I still had my talent of Total Recall. I know I was blowing everybody else away in a way. And then the sampling laws started changing. So they were
because that was a big deal at first, because sampling, it was...
Sampling laws. So what I would do, I would just replay the song. And then that was it.
So you didn't have to sample, you just did it.
I just did it, and there was no law against not doing it. Then when Vanilla Ice came out with Ice Ice Baby, with the David Bowie song or whatever, he took a very small part of the song and made it the hit song, right? So then they're like, okay, if you sample anything, because we used to sneak the sample in underneath,
right? Too. But then the artists from the original were like, hey, wait a minute, you're using my material.
Exactly. So then here's my progression of my career. So my career goes from copying samples to flipping samples, because then they caught up to us and they were like, hey, wait a minute, you just had some guy replay the sample, but it sounds like the same song. You can't do that either. That's called an interpolation of the sample. So then what we would do, Easy goes, Ronnie, can you play that thing backwards? And I'm like, yeah, I can. Wow. And I would flip the sample so it'd be backwards. But it would still have the same essence, and that's right.
And then that doesn't get you sued.
No, that doesn't get you sued. Right. So then it's a new song, right? Basically.
The sampling thing, and it was interesting, like totally different genre, but like Weird Al Yankovic does all the parody music.
Yeah.
But in order for that to be legal, every 12th note has to be different.
Seriously?
Right.
That's the law.
No, that's right.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
So they can't, duplicate, but if every 12th note is different,
wow,
right,
then you can parody a song, and of course, it's going to sound a lot like the same song.
11 of the notes are going to sound very familiar.
Very familiar. Very
so
familiar.
Listen to this. We can make millions of dollars a year doing that, right? Let's fast forward. Okay, so bum, 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 blah, blah, blah. Then I met this punk rock guy, and then that's a whole nother story. I call my story kind of like punks and thugs.
Well, those were the worlds you lived in.
I was with the biggest punk bands of California, and I was with the biggest thug bands of California at the same time. Just being a regular guy, Ronnie King comes in. My manager always used to say,
plain white rapper.
Get in the car. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, plain white. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get in the car. Keep your head down. Keep your mouth shut. Make sure they spell your name right on the credits and collect the check. And I did that I still do it. I'm having a situation right now where I literally did a soundtrack for a movie, right? And the producer goes, oh, that's really good. Oh, yeah, we love it. And then some other guy goes, yeah, it's okay. Hey, I got my guy. Let me see if my guy can do it better. Yeah. And the guy went and basically did everything I did. He just switched the sounds, or it's his guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like...
it's still my music. Like, you got, right?
It is.
That's how you got to feel it.
But you're...
How do you fight that?
You can't really... You can fight it if you go into, like, the interpolation clause part of it. Like, you literally took my flow through the entire movie, But then I'm thinking... I've been on the dole with these guys for like 2 years. Yeah. And the amount of money I made I literally did the soundtrack in like 2 weeks. And I've been on the dole for 2 years. Haven't had to talk to these guys.
Hopefully they're not listening.
Yeah. Oh, no, sure they are listening.
Little conversations at Big Bar. Yeah.
No, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, so I think I made out, is what I'm saying.
That music shot off so fast and became so big so quick.
The hip-hop?
Hip-hop.
Yeah.
And then when Suge came involved,
yeah,
things got handled a little bit differently at times.
Yeah,
what was your feeling around the whole Tupac situation? I mean, he's now a myth, but at that time...
We created the most classic music in West Coast hip-hop. I can say that for sure. Actually, today, one of the records we did was like 22 years old today.
Wow.
One of the Thug Life Outlaws records. But Tupac was great. We had a work ethic where we do 10 songs a day. It would take us, an hour to do the track, he would go in, rap for an hour, and then we moved on to another one. And we just kept going. And all these other rappers, they want to have, I call it the studio bandit. The guy who wants to stay in the studio and really get the ambiance of the...
But Tupac came in and just did it.
He wasn't
knocked
around.
out the
I wasn't around for... I had punk rock records to make. I wanted to get out of there as quick as I could. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I was doing like 8 studio sessions a day.
Wow. Oh, my God.
12, 13 years.
God, it's like a 14-hour day plus. More.
I'd be laying in my bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I get a call, Mariah Carey wants you to get down here right now and do the song.
That would probably get you out of bed and go in.
Well, you get out of bed, and then you just, you had your... I used to sleep in the studio.
Then you have Mariah
Carey. Sleep in the sound booth, wait till they call you up. Then they call you up at like 3 in the morning. It's all in the book, by the way. Amazon, Ronnie King, 7 major keys.
7 major keys, right. Ronnie King, Amazon.
It's in the book.
For the music lover, especially someone who's interested in the hip-hop world, I think this is a Christmas gift that must be had.
When I wrote the book, it's not an autobiography. It's not about anything to do really about me except how to survive in Hollywood,
Which is a really valuable piece.
People would want that.
Yes. Well, let's talk. You mentioned Mariah Carey, so let's go back to this for a second. You did Rainbow with her.
Yes, sir.
And it was just remastered, right? You guys just re-released that
on Dolby Atmos.
Yeah,
which is the new hot.
That's the hot ticket right now.
And they put Jay-Z on like 2 or 3 songs, which weren't on the original Rainbow. So
you get some new music if you get the new version.
You get the new music. You get the Dolby Atmos. There's a remix by David Martinez, which is like an Ibiza remixer guy. But what I was stoked about is they were remixing and redoing all the songs. They didn't redo my song.
That's solid, right? That's
very cool.
We're not going to screw around with perfection.
Right.
Dude. And it was with Snoop Dogg was on it, but when I heard it, the sonic value of the song is obviously way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. What year did that originally come out, Rainbow?
90. I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. I can look.
Do you know?
I've got a phone. I can
got
look.
The record right here, but
here we go. I can tell you right now. It came out in 1999.
1999. There you go.
That would have been my guess.
Yeah,
I knew it was late 90s.
Hey, but let me tell you what though. The re-release is kind of cool because you don't have to re-record the song. And since they kept all my stuff, I still have my performance rights, my writer's rights, and these mechanical royalties, they call it, for young artists that are wondering how to make money in the music business.
So what you're saying is the checks
are still coming.
Still rolling in.
Well, I'm telling you, Patrick, with all these now album sales, they're selling for $6. Well, you were telling a story about your daughter.
We were talking about this before we actually started recording, and you are a big fan of this, but vinyl's made an enormous comeback.
Yes, sir.
And I have a box of old vinyl records. I was right in that transition, right as CDs were coming out. That was when I was a kid. And listening to music. So I did buy a bunch of albums.
You were a kid when CDs were coming out?
He's not a kid yet, but
he's pretty young.
You're that young?
I was 58.
Damn,
29 twice.
Life's been hard.
Life's been hard. I had hair a long time ago. I still have this box of albums. But now you're saying that artists are leaning into the vinyl. Because there's the money part of it.
There's an income because streaming is such a bogus rip-off business for songwriters.
Yeah. I stream 99% of my music I listen to now, but I think it's a bogus rip-off for the consumer and nobody thinks about this. I've got a box of vinyl albums that I can give to my daughter.
Right.
I bought them when I was her age, or roughly.
Right.
But when you go away, all the music that you own on your streaming device goes away with your account.
Yeah, right.
You don't own it. you have absolute unlimited use of it while you have that device or that, that Apple account. But when you're gone, it's gone. You don't get to hand that down to anybody.
Yep.
I'm not sure anybody wants my playlist, to be honest with you.
No, I've seen some of your playlists.
Carpenters. No, I love the Carpenters, by the way.
I have the Carpenters and Offspring on my playlist.
Oh, good. Well, at least we're in there somewhere.
So now let's go back to that.
Okay.
Tupac,
right.
And pretty soon it's Rancid and the Offspring, and how did that happen?
Yeah, that happened. Kind of a weird thing. That I went on tour with a kid named Timmy T, and he was a young Spanish kid from L.A. He had a song called One More Try, and it was just like a club dance hero song or whatever. So they asked me to be the musical director. It's where I got to take care of all the musicians and blah, blah, blah. And at that time, we were just getting into programming and stuff like that. Anywho, I go on to tour with him, and my roadie jumps out of we're on the Brooklyn Bridge, and there's traffic and everything. He jumps out. He's like, I'm taking a pee. I'm like, what? I'm from India, dude. I'm kind of naive with a lot of things. So he comes back in, and he goes, and you know what? You need to get out of that hip-hop business because it's going nowhere. That's what he says.
It's never going to last.
It's never going anywhere. It's terrible. I got this guy, Jack Grisham from TSOL, who you're going to love his record. He has some keyboards on there. There's some sampling going on. And the band was a guy named Josh Freese, who lives here in the desert, who is the drummer for the Foo Fighters now, actually.
Oh, wow.
But he's played with Sting. I mean, he's a major, major guy.
Does he want to come in and do a podcast with us?
He would love it.
Write it down.
He would love it. And Matt Sorum would be fun. He lives here in the desert.
Yeah.
He's here. He actually has a studio.
That's right. He built out a studio.
Yeah, I went to his studio. It's very nice.
Is it good stuff?
It's the same studio he had in L.A. He just basically shipped it.
Wow.
Shipped it over. But, no, it's a nice place. Nice piano in tune, which is good.
Oh, that's always a good thing.
I hate it. Out-of-tune piano drives me nuts. But anyways, yeah, so then he's like, I want you to meet this guy, this punk rock guy. And I'm like, okay. So I meet this punk rock guy. And then he was a kind of a popular punk rock dude with, like, before the Offspring. I'm forgetting all the names, but all the, like, the Cars or the Ramones or, all that early punk rock.
Early punk.
So then, but he was from the West Coast. So anyways, we go and we start writing music together. He's like, yeah, I've always wanted to write punk rock music with piano on it. I'm like, wow, okay, that sounds weird. So he played me all these punk rock songs. Me being the cyborg I am, I make all the chords a piano song, basically. And we get picked up from Epitaph Records, which was the #1 first really independent label that made over $140 million when I was with them in 1 year, selling punk rock music. And then I was
with piano music.
With piano music.
With piano on it.
And everybody was like, wow, that's kind of different. So then the Offspring called me, and they're like, we want some of that piano music on our record. And Rancid was like, hey, I want some of that piano music on mine. And the list goes on. No Effects, Pennywise.
So the song hit that. Did you really come up with the dun, 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 dun? That's been in my head the entire day.
Brian was drilling me the whole session. Like, dude, put that Dr. Dre stuff that you got. I'm like, dude, it's a punk rock song. I mean, how am I going to do that? And I had this Mini Moog, which is a old keyboard from the 70s, classic. You have to program it. And I was pretty good at it. So we'd make these bass sounds, and I made this sound. I literally went like one click, and Brian, the singer from the Offspring, goes, that's
the sound.
And then that was it, really. But yeah, he was drilling me the whole day. Put that Dr. Dre, that Death Row stuff on my record. And they were always kind of like that way anyway. And they knew I was with the other punk bands and all that stuff. And then Rancid was just like, dude, we don't want you to do any of that stuff.
Right.
But come play the B3 organ. And
so the Hammond B3.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. All right. My favorite use of the Hammond B3 is probably in the song "Summer Wind" by Sinatra.
I've heard that song.
Yeah. No, yeah.
A good friend of mine sings it.
I've been to some jazz stuff where they actually roll out a Hammond B3. And,
it's back.
It's back, absolutely.
And they told me, they said, look, we're going to go on tour for like 2 years. We're going to do every TV show in America, every big I mean, collectively, I think the only place I probably haven't played is like Wembley Stadium. But pretty much, and Madison Square Garden. That's the two.
Well, though you need to get to Madison Square Garden, maybe.
I'm going to do that with my piano record, the new one from Buenos Aires. More tango.
Fantastic.
More, yeah, because they do a lot more cultural stuff.
Yeah.
I'm 61 now after all these stories. This is like when I was like 24, 25,
so
right?
But you transitioned from, you were doing studio stuff. You were in studio as and you were with some bands. You were playing.
Yeah.
But then you jumped into producing, too.
Yeah.
Talk about that transition.
That was just kind of a weird thing. My brother, Bobby, called himself a producer. I'm kind of like, you're not a producer.
You're not producing.
Well, right? I guess I'm a producer.
Brotherly love. And then I was like, well, I'm going to do it. So then this band, Total Chaos, big punk band still today, they're like, right, we want you to produce our record. I'm like, yeah, you want keyboards on it? They're like, that's why we want you. That's why we want you, because we want the keyboards. So obviously the keyboards, in some facet, were always the. So
those sessions playing classical music paid dividends in this entirely different world.
Big time. I can't say enough for the Joanna Hodges program. Is she even around anymore?
I don't believe she is, but I don't know for 100% certain.
Virginia Waring piano competition. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know they have the amp situation over there, which I don't know anything about, so I'm not saying anything about anything. But, the routine in our household was study music, John, believe it or not, he's a freaking genius on knowing. The guy plays every song in the world and remember. Because he's total recall. The guy can remember the lyrics.
Is that something to be said about just growing up with musical parents?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they used to, sit us in front of the TV, and we would, watch Grand Canyon Suite, after the Lawrence Welk show.
Or family.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And they would be like, look, man, you're going to study. You're going to, And everybody tried the piano, and everybody liked the drums.
Because John played drums.
John played drums. John can play everything, but he's a hell of a drummer. I mean, it would. But
that's where he started, right? He started with drum and then went to guitar.
It would be that would actually be kind of a fun, kind of a caveat for Vicky's maybe, one night,
put him on drums,
put the whole night. Just make him grind and sing.
And bring you in, and you can do some rancid.
Put you on the keyboard.
Oh, we'll do it's always fun when I do go and play with John over there.
How often do you do that? I want to be there when that happens.
When I get there, but it's always if I come in a little hot. He's always kind of
slow your roll.
No, maybe not tonight, because he's had too many nights where I'm look, come in. But he loves it because of the jazz factor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll sit there and we'll take a 3-chord song and jam it for 10 minutes. John can do that. He can jam out, But we'll get in there and we'll just, if I come in hot, we'll jam, and the people love it. Don't get me wrong.
We need to take a quick break. We need to give a shout out to the McCallum Theater, our principal and presenting sponsor. They're doing amazing work bringing theater to the Coachella Valley. And Ronnie, you were talking about the history. It really changed the landscape of entertainment when the McCallum Theater opened. And we just want to give them an opportunity to say a few
words.
Love it.
The McCallum Theater's 2024-2025 season is on sale now. The world's top artists, from jazz, pop, classical, and comedy to the best of Broadway. Only at the Valley's favorite place for great entertainment. Tickets are on sale now at the McCallum Theater box office, by phone, or online at McCallumTheater.org. Tickets sell quickly, so order yours today. A new, exciting season only at the McCallum. The McCallum Theater's 2024-2025 season is on sale now.
Thank you to the McCallum Theater, our presenting sponsor of Big Conversations Little Bar. Get your season tickets right now. Tickets are on sale, McCallumTheater.org. We're just dipping our toe into the season. It's kind of a weird, the month between Thanksgiving and Christmas is a weird month in the desert because the snowbirds are sort of here and they're sort of not because they like to go back for Thanksgiving and for Christmas and to be cool. But, man, when New Year's hits, they're here.
Yes.
And those tickets will be gone. So, McCallumTheater.org.
Burton Cummings.
Man,
Burton Cummings, January.
Cummings. I love that
sometime
theater.
In January.
I love that theater. Actually, I played there a few times.
So, tell us the first time you played.
I played there with Willie Nelson. I opened up for Willie Nelson. And with a girl, she was on Hollywood Records, I think. What was her name? I forget her name, but anyway, she's like, yeah, I'm playing the McCallum Theater. I want you to play. So we go play and hang out with Willie and got to hang out on his tour bus.
Did you?
Back.
Was that super cool?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
dude, it's the one he's had forever. It's called the Wild Rose or something like that. Really dope. And
Smells a little musty inside.
Dude, it's so cool. But the coolest thing was signing the wall.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I made it.
That's
in the Coachella Valley.
That's well beyond the Coachella. Been like that's you. Signing the wall for McCallum.
Yeah, signing the wall.
That's a big deal
because here in the Coachella Valley, I'm known as John King's little brother. King, you're John King's little brother. We've heard a lot about you.
I mean, you guys went totally different directions, though.
Yeah,
and you both are incredibly successful at what you do. I mean, it's just such a cool family you guys come from.
I tell you. And the funny thing is John and I have been doing it like for a business, I guess, right? I mean, I'm all about the stories and all that, but I'm a businessman when it comes to the music business. I mean, I know publishing like the back of my hand. I love making music, and in going forward with new technologies and all that we're doing, I think I'm at the forefront with most of the guys that I deal with on how to monetize and how to really help the younger artists that are coming up who think, I'm just going to put it on my own independent label and I'm going to put it on streaming. I mean, you can get you can get popular.
Chance the Rapper did it, but that's like one out of 50,000.
You made a really good point about the vinyl, and we can circle back to this. Vinyl now is incredibly expensive. When I was buying albums, $12-15 was expensive.
Right. And if you break it, you got to go get another one.
Yeah, exactly.
Or scratch it.
I was a big fan of the CD.
You can't scratch streaming.
Never skips. It never skips. Unless you're out of range.
Yeah.
When you have no signal.
Right.
But now it's expensive. I mean, like buying a vinyl album, $45, $50, $60.
That's in the package. Like, you can make your package whatever you want, right? So Mariah Carey's package is a $75 package.
Oh, I'll bet it is.
Or she can say, no, but you know what I'm saying? That's just your normal.
Right.
Pat. Pat's rock and roll tonight. Pat is on his rock, and if you could see him, he's got a full-on rock band shirt.
That's a rock band shirt.
I wonder where that was going.
Star Trek shirt. But anyways, these packages, hey man, you could do $100 package, and your super fans will buy it.
They'll buy it,
and a good thing they would, because they get a record, they get the liner notes. They may be able to get some kind of streaming or a Kindle if you've got a book.
But now you're back to being able to put together a concept. One of the things streaming did is you put an album together and you go from song 1 to song 10 and you've got a theme.
Yeah.
And then somebody buys song number 3 and song number 8.
Yeah.
And they never feel that passion that you put into it.
Right.
Buying an album, though, you're putting the needle on it and you're sitting down and you're hearing what the artist meant to say.
And you're really going from song 1, I want him to go through this event.
Because you put the songs in a particular order for a particular reason.
That's
you know
correct.
who really invented the idea of the concept album was Frank Sinatra.
You always go back to
I do. I always go back to Frank. But he said, I want all of the songs of this album, I want them to have thematically similar stories and musically. So I don't want you to go from a sad love song to a fast swing song. It doesn't make sense to the listener. So that concept, and it's important, and I think it's really interesting that's now how we think of albums.
We're back to that now, and everybody's getting their vinyl, and everybody's getting their record players, and the kids are even doing it. I mean, it really came from the kids anyway, wanting to get the vinyl, and like you said, sharing the records from their parents and listening to them. These young kids today are just not into the music of today.
Yeah.
What was the name of the record? Your daughter, who's 16, 17, 18,
She's 16, but this was...
What was the record she wants?
She was 15, and it was her Christmas list. She wanted Pink Floyd.
Right.
She wanted The Wall.
Not Kendrick Lamar.
No. I mean, I know that they listen to current stuff, but the albums she's played, and I have a box of albums somewhere, and my wife's like, you should give those to Vesta. Just go get the crate. And I said, the problem is they're in the same crate as all of my old Playboy magazines. So at some point I have to separate those out.
Well, you just tell him every album came with a Playboy. I didn't want them. I got a 13-year-old daughter that went to see Green Day with me last year.
Oh, no.
Granddaughter went to see Green Day.
That would come as a shock to everyone.
Everybody.
No, that's
Especially
great.
my prostate cancer. That would have been really odd. So, I mean, my son, who grew up, as a matter of fact, when I told him I'm
your
talking
sons
to
were all in
somebody,
bands.
They were in bands, punk bands. When I talked to them about who we were interviewing today, they were just really excited. But
cool.
They're passing that down to another generation now, and they've stayed away from the Kendrick Lamar and all of that stuff with their kids.
Well, I mean, you're going to go into the Taylor Swift world, of course, but when you're going into the vinyl world, that's where you can be like a lot more fun and selective. And
you also get album art again.
Yeah, and you get to hang out with it. I'm telling you, my wife, Saturday night with her little girlfriends at the ranch, I mean, they're like, flipping albums back, not even putting them back in the case. You know what I mean? And they wake up in the morning and the whole record room is just
stacks of wax
remember
everywhere.
How that was the fun times.
People have pictures like that from the 60s up until now.
And I'm glad it's back. I mean,
it really is. And what's so great for the young artists, I kind of feel like this interview has really been about the music business, and I always kind of maybe peer it towards young artists in some way, or people that want to be in the music business, and I think that's the younger artists, and they're coming up, they're like, well, how can I succeed in this crazy business of the music business, right? The album is a good way to do it, man, for these guys that can conceptualize something, make something, and have a nice price tag on it for them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and nobody
they get
cares.
to pocket that, unlike the streaming.
The PayPal button is like easy. Oh, $45 for a band I've never heard before, but it's an album. People are doing it like all the time.
I think there's something to but to have something tangible.
Yeah.
I love a lot of different kinds of music, and I stream a lot of it. But there was something back in the day when you got the album and you listen to it and you open it up. And
and you look at the musicians. I mean, that was my world, of course, and it's like streaming doesn't do that for a guy like me. You know what I mean? They don't mention who's playing the keyboards on the record. But think of all the Pat Rizzos and, all the guys that Anthony Shane.
Yeah, Anthony Shane.
That cat had some records, man. You know who I played with, too, was Jody... come on. You know it.
Where's that Total Recall now?
Yeah, I know.
God, you guys are old.
Martini Recall. No, no. The guy did In the Sleep or something like that. He wrote all the Elvis songs. Lived here in the desert forever. Jody. Anywho, I grew up with these guys, man, and they were album guys. They were like real artists. I mean, they're real dudes, and streaming came in. And, I mean, they're still real. There was something real about it, but guess who makes all the money? Spotify.
Right. Spotify.
Right. Hey, that guy's a hog.
Jody Reynolds.
In the Sleeper. And I just did, I'm wearing my band shirt with Glenn Danzig, which many of you may or may not know, but you know the Misfits. Anyways, I tour with this guy like about 4 times a year, and we play weird places, around LA. And we're getting ready to go to Germany to do a show in some castle. And anywho, he's an album guy.
Yeah.
He signs each album for the show. He knows how many albums he you know what I mean? So it's great. It's great for everybody. It's like a collector's item.
I want to ask you about something else. You talked about performing and traveling internationally. In the news today, you spent some time in the Ukraine.
Yes, sir.
Talk about why you were there, how you got there, and then you told a story a little bit later about some of your friends.
Yeah. Well, I went there originally because I was going to see an orchestra that played in a little town called Lviv, which was...
it's on the border with Poland.
Correct. About 2 hours from there. And I knew the guy from Kelly Derrickson and her dad and whatever. And they're like, happened to be in Ibiza at the time. And it was a 2-hour flight from Ibiza to get to the Ukraine. So we go down there. And I knew a couple DJ girls that had stayed at my house from the Ukraine during Coachella. And so it was just this thing where, like, we had to go to the Ukraine. So we go and we meet... went there initially for the orchestra. Now, the American dollar is really good there. So what would cost me $20,000 in LA would cost me $5,000, maybe even cheaper than that. I don't know, but I fell in love with the people. I got to see my old friends. We all hung out, and then the thing happened. Dang. So sad. You know what was the saddest part about all that? Is them bombing all those beautiful buildings.
Yeah.
Well,
Right? I mean, not to be on a
any contact with any of those people?
Yeah, I've got the kids coming for Thanksgiving up in L.A. Yeah, they escaped.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be calling for a ceasefire there, too.
Yeah, anywhere.
These wars need to stop.
Just anywhere, okay?
There's no reason to bomb those
ceasefire should be applied everywhere.
Dude,
that's a good.
My wife was crying watching those beautiful. We had just been there to those beautiful buildings.
The history is just you lose.
And they just blowing it up. But the music and the people I meet. That's one thing about being in the music business. There we go. We can segue into something maybe a little funner. I meet the coolest people being in the music business. Yeah.
And well, you've mentioned some of them.
Well, talk a little bit about Alejandro.
Oh, Alejandro, that's Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Man.
So you're doing stuff down there.
I did my first record with him like about 25 years ago. He produced a band called Los Fabuloso Cadillacs. We're a huge band. And I had done a record with a big artist from there, Luciano Jr., And anywho, that was 25 years. Yeah. So
you guys are still
been
going
friends
strong.
since. I've been going back there at least once a year since. They're all, my age now, 61. So you got to figure if you stay in a business long enough, at 61 you're going to own the TV station.
Really?
Pretty much.
Good. That's good to know. I got 3 years before I pick that little.
I'm way late.
Hey, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, who's next in line?
Oh, it's got to be me. I feel certain. That's it's one great thing about.
But that's the thing.
But and I think it's really important that you're telling these younger people.
Yeah.
About owning their stuff,
right?
Owning the music.
You're going to own your stuff,
and then that's where the money, as you pointed out with the Rainbow and the Mariah Carey thing, gets remastered. It's back out.
Wow!
And it's run up the charts.
Wow! Again,
it's a revenue stream all over again.
Man, and you know what? Not to be just like all about that, but I mean, and even here in the desert, what you guys are doing with Skip's Little Bar. With the podcast, this is like a build-up to something, I think, bigger than something that a TV station can do. It's uncensored. You can have cooler people on it.
Much cooler.
I heard you had Danny Bonaducci.
We had Danny Bonaducci, yeah. That was a good get.
That was a good one.
No, the nice thing about the podcast is you and I get to have this conversation on Eye of the Desert for about 3 minutes.
Right.
Now, we get to have it for an hour.
Yeah, and hang.
And really dig into some of this stuff.
Well, they get to dig into you, man.
Literally.
Well,
I mean, you know what I mean? Hey, you go over to the station with him. Hey, how you doing? The guy's like, bada bing, bada bing, bada bing, bada bing, bada bing. But, at the station, right? Because he's on the move, right? But here you get to hang out with and anywhere. If you ever catch Patrick anywhere in the desert, not on the station, which the station is fantastic.
We love the station.
And what you do on the station.
They pay you, right?
Yes.
No.
It's the bulk of my income. Let's just say that.
Dude, what you've done on the station, and my mom, of course, huge fan. We're all big fans. We're all huge fans.
I'm a big fan of your family. You guys
No, we love
left this indelible footprint on the valley with your music, and you've taken that, globally.
And still going.
Yeah.
Oh,
still going.
No, we're not even done yet. And I'm thinking, it might be time for a star on the walk for the King family band.
100%.
Right?
Well, I would write that nomination yesterday.
You would? So how do you get on that thing, you think?
We write a nomination.
Okay.
Let's ask the man who's on it.
You're on it?
I serve on one of the committees, but I would be very happy to.
Wouldn't that be fun? Before my mom, my mom's 93. For Christ's sake,
let's get on that.
Maybe this next year would be fun.
All right,
just
consider it done. Well, I'll work on the nomination.
Whatever we got to do it.
This is the big thing. This is a podcast thing now. This has to become our big. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
Every episode, we're talking about this star.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but a star, I think for my family, a star on the walk would be awesome.
But well-deserved. I don't know anybody can.
It's a King family star.
Yeah,
it's just not,
and
one of us. It's the whole family,
The whole family.
really.
No,
really.
100%. That's a great idea.
And my brother Bobby, who passed, was a desert-like legend producing every, upcoming rap artist. I mean, he put a lot of time into producing the desert people here and whatnot. And LA too.
And LA too, that's right.
Yeah.
You guys, but again, your reach is global with the music, the work that you've done.
Yeah.
And John at Vicky's, keeping that flame alive.
How does he do it?
I don't know. He's doing it every night, man.
Dude, he's there That was the one thing for me. One time I was playing somewhere younger. Well, with Frankie Ford, we had the dinner shows. So It was like, it's a thing. It's an event. It's a show. People come in. It's a dinner, like Sinatra.
Right.
You remember him.
Yeah.
You heard of him?
I'll Google him later, yeah. He's a cool guy.
No, but they apparently invented concept albums.
You can Google that. He did.
Yeah. No, but we used, with Frankie Ford, and Peter Giro and Gino Antonucci. I mean, those guys came up in the dinner show era.
Yeah, it was dinner theater.
Now, that was classic.
Dinner and a show.
Yeah.
Everybody got dressed up.
You dressed up, and you go, and they got the little lamps on the table, and everybody's classy, and there's an appreciation for the artists on the stage, and it gives the people something to do, and whatever. One day I played somewhere, and it was a dinner show, but it was like hamburgers and fries and a Coke dinner show. And I went, no, not for me. Just do not want to. The place smelled like hamburgers.
Forks and knives clinking on them.
Yeah, nobody's paying attention. Yeah. And, and that's where John has really, I think they do it at Vicky's pretty good. But
the music room at Vicky's is a good place to listen to music.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can dine there, but I think people go there with a lot of respect for the musicianship that's going on, which is good. Because a lot of places where you get a show going on, they just don't. Like you said.
Yeah, like hamburgers and fries.
Smells like fries.
Yeah, and it's not cool.
And people are talking over the band. And it's like, did you come here for the music or not?
No, I came here for the hamburger and fries.
There you go.
No, but they come and they come to see John.
Yeah.
They come to see him come play. They have a respect for it and all that. And
well, I will tell you, my favorite John story since you're his brother, and I think you'll appreciate this. One night, and John White from the TV station.
Oh, yeah. What happened to that guy?
Oh, he's still there.
Okay.
He's still there. So John and I go to Vicky's one night. It's a Sunday.
Okay.
And we're hanging out listening to your brother. And they wrap up about 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we'd had a couple of cocktails.
Yeah. Coming in hot, I call it.
Coming in hot. And your brother comes over and he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? And I said, well, we're thinking about going over to the Nest. And your brother's like, I would be totally down with that. Let's all go over there.
Wow.
So now I'm hanging out with John Stanley King at the Nest, and I'm just like, I can't believe this. Here we are. Like,
yeah, we're all here.
It was just like, it was so funny. It was like he was all in.
Dude, and he's never gung-ho to go out. I mean, anywhere. But, Kevin has been one of our friends. I used to play with CeCe Grant when I was like 15.
Wow.
His mom.
Yeah. His mom.
And we were booked by a lady. What was her freaking name? Gloria Becker. Gloria Becker used to book everybody in the desert. She had literally a monopoly on every club in the desert.
Wow.
And the musicians.
How have I not heard that name?
I'm just going to say the music. Not everybody liked her. Because she was just taking the money,
She was taking the money. Well, that's...
Yeah.
Sometimes that's how the business works. Yeah. And that's why it has not the best rep in the world.
She later invented Spotify.
And now she's taking everybody's
money.
This is one of those podcasts that I feel like is the first one in an 8-parter.
Yeah.
Like
this
is spend time with
Ronnie.
It's going to be,
yes.
Thank you very much.
Well, we haven't even talked about the desert, but we don't have to.
We are...
The one thing I do want to say,
please do,
is me becoming a brand new pilot. I'm a student pilot. I have a Cessna 150
at Thermal.
Yeah. I think I want to be the next Red Baron. Bob Osterberg.
I'll be Snoopy.
No, but Bob Osterberg was.
What was the radio station?
KREO, I think, or something like that.
I think that's right.
And I was telling him about. My parents had a nighttime paper route. We used to get all the kids up at 3 o'clock in the morning. We used to go to Desert, the newspaper place, and then we were all in the back wrapping the newspapers. And then we would drive down the middle of the road of the streets, and my mom and dad would throw the papers, make sure they got there in the morning. So we used to go to La Quinta Hotel, and we used to think like, if you've been there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And those statues, we used to whoa, that was the coolest thing. Anywho, but who was on the radio? The Red Baron doing the traffic.
So you're going to get up in the Cessna, but we have to paint it red.
We can paint it red. I mean, it's a little 150.
That was easy. That was easy.
Yeah, you can't hurt it.
That's
you can't hurt that thing.
Ronnie King, come back and do this again.
Yeah,
because we have so much more to talk about.
Yeah, it'd be fun if you guys just had like 10 sets of headphones. And you put Skip on one, John Stanley King
we'll
on
put
the
your brother
other
on.
That would be pretty cool.
Just put the whole.
We'll fill up the bar with headphones.
Put Kevin Henry on a set of headphones, and you guys
Kevin
try
Henry
to.
In.
Yeah,
he would. We had Doty on,
and you guys try to mediate. 10 desert dudes.
That would make our producer, who's normally in this seat,
Yes.
I'm sitting in John's seat, John McMillan, that would make his head explode.
It would. And he's halfway there at every episode
he's
anyway.
He's a cranky guy most of the time, so that would make him really, really cranky.
Hi, John.
The
John.
stories, well, I think we did make some headway on one thing, I think, with this interview, and that was like the desert creates great people.
It creates great artists.
I'm not saying myself, but a lot of great artists.
I would include you that 100%. But, and we were talking about, I think, your desire to guide young people how to make it and understand that you can, don't get your artistry taken advantage of, get paid for your work.
Yeah.
It's really important.
It is.
Because that's how the artistry continues to grow and get out there.
And they don't get bitter with it.
Yeah.
And also at the same thing, talking about the desert, I mean, we've had some great artists come from the desert. Now with this new
Abby Carter.
there. And we got Caius and some other, there was another couple here and there that are actually from the desert.
Yeah.
From the tutelage of the desert.
Not just musicians, but Jenna Ortega.
Oh, yeah.
Born and raised in
Right.
Yeah, she's
Dude, she's a megastar. I mean, that's not even messing around. Her mom came to my studio one time in Thermal. It's like, we're really getting my daughter. She's doing some stuff in L.A., and she was just, this must have been 15 years ago or something.
Wow. It was in the early days of the podcast, we used to say, we want to get...
Yeah, we're going to get Jen on here. Yeah.
Like, and then one day I was talking to somebody who has the slightest in, and they said, not a chance. there was an F-bomb in the middle of that. Not a chance.
Yeah.
We've gotten too big for her.
Yeah, so. That happens, Randy. And some people can't handle.
That's right.
I mean, has Skip done a
he was our very first
episode.
And did he talk about doing the whole Las Vegas Bugsy Siegel thing? I have an epiphany. Walking on to that polo field and going,
oh yeah,
it's right here.
Yeah.
If they will come. Ronnie King, thank you so much, man. This has been
awesome. Thank you,
Patrick.
Ronnie, that was so cool.
Just such a blast.
So nice.
Randy, it was delightful to have
Patrick.
you here.
Yeah, I like Patrick
Are you
when
here
he's
every
just on
week?
the chill.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I'm retired. What the hell?
What the hell? You got nothing else to do.
I'm going to have a burger.
I want to
That's what we're going to do.
You should.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another fantastic episode of Big Conversations Little Bar. For your musical friends, they're going to love this. Get Ronnie's book.
Amazon.
Amazon.com. You can get his book, and you can get all of the great music that he's done. But buy an album or two. Get the vinyl. Because
vinyl.
It helps the kids. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, those kids can make a little bit of money, and you're going to like the vinyl anyway.
My thanks to Ronnie King. My thanks
Thank
to
you,
Randy
Patrick.
Florence. Another fabulous job.
Happy
He's not
birthday
only
again.
the co-host and the
Randy
sidekick, he's the research department.
That's
And
right.
happy holidays.
I had a whole page of research.
This was recorded the week of Thanksgiving
That's all you got?
in 2024. So thank you very much. Thanks for listening, and we'll be right back here. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode of Big Conversations Little Bar.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Big Conversations Little Bar. Recorded on location at Skip Page's Little Bar in Palm Desert, California, the center of the Coachella Valley universe. And presented by the McCallum Theater. Online at McCallumTheater.org. This program is a production of the Mutual Broadcasting System. All episodes are available from BigConversationsLittleBar.com and most major podcast portals, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify.